phone numbers, PIN codes, that one historical date you needed for a test. Do they just seem to evaporate from your brain? It happens to all of us. But what if I told you your memory isn't the problem? It's not broken. It just needs the right kind of training. Today, we're going to unlock a really powerful technique that can give you what feels like a super memory for numbers. Let's get into it.
So what's the deal? How is it that we can remember the lyrics to a song we haven't heard in 20 years, but we can't remember the 4-digit code we set for something yesterday? It's a universal frustration, right? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It all comes down to how our brains are wired to remember, and more importantly, what they're wired to forget.
And that really brings us to the core idea here. There's this great quote from Adam Koo that says, "There is no such thing as a good or bad memory. There is, however, a difference between a trained memory and an untrained one." I absolutely love this because it means a great memory isn't some gift you're born with. No, it's a skill. It's something you can build, and we can start doing that right now.
Okay, so to train our memory the right way, we have to understand why it has such a hard time with numbers in the first place. What is it about them that our brains just don't seem to like?
Think about it like this. Your brain is a visual storyteller. It absolutely loves pictures, emotions, crazy stories. The more absurd, the better. But it just hits a wall when it sees abstract things, like a long random string of digits. And numbers are, by their very nature, completely abstract. They're just symbols. That's the root of the problem right there.
So here's the secret. This is the big reveal. To remember numbers, we have to stop fighting our own brains. Instead, we need to learn how to translate those boring, abstract numbers into its native language. And that language is, you guessed it, pictures. Okay, so how in the world do we do that? How do you turn a number like 45 into a picture? Well, we use this simple but totally brilliant system. It's a kind of phonetic code. And this is the key that unlocks the whole thing.
And here it is. This is the foundation of the entire system. Each number from 0 to 9 is given a specific consonant sound. So 1 is a T or D sound, 2 is N, 3 is M, and you can see the rest. Now hold on, don't feel like you have to memorize this entire chart right this second. There are some really simple little tricks to make it all stick.
For example, to remember that 1 is the T or D sound, just look at the number itself. The number 1 has one single downstroke, right? And so do the letters T and D. It's a simple visual link. Easy.
Or what about the number 3? This one's pretty cool. If you just tip it over on its side, what does it look like?
A perfect M.
See? Another easy visual connection to lock that right into your brain.
And for the number 5, just hold up your hand. You've got 5 fingers, and the shape between your thumb and your index finger, well, it makes a perfect letter L. So 5 equals the L sound. Once you learn these little tricks, the code just becomes second nature.
All right, so now that we have our phonetic building blocks, we can start putting them together to create what our brain actually loves to remember. These vivid, unforgettable images.
The rules here are super simple. First, you take the consonant sounds for your numbers. Then, and this is the creative part, you can add any vowels you want. A, E, I, O, U. Stick them in wherever you like. Vowels, and also the letters W, H, and Y, they have no number value at all. They're just freebies to help you build a solid, concrete word you can picture in your head. Okay, let's try it out with a really simple example. Let's take the number 45.
So using our new secret code, the number 4 gives us the R sound, and the number 5, remember your hand, gives us the L sound. So we have the sounds R and L.
Now we just have to slot in some vowels to make a word out of that. So what can we make with R and L? How about R-A-I-L, rail? And just like that, the abstract, boring number 45 has become a concrete thing. But don't just stop at the word. This next part is probably the most important step of all. You have to actually picture it. I mean, really see it. See a long, heavy, rusty train rail. Feel the cold, rough texture. Imagine the sound it would make if you tapped it with a rock. That vivid sensory image, that's what your brain is going to remember. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this actually work in the real world? Let's put this whole technique into action with a practical, real-life example.
So here's our challenge. Remembering that the attack on Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th, 1941, that is just a whole lot of abstract data for our poor brains to try and hold on to.
First, we translate the date into numbers. December 7th, 1941 becomes 7/12/41. To make this manageable, let's group the digits into 7, 1, 2, and 4, 1. Okay, now for the code.
712 gives us the sounds KTN. What word can we make from that? How about kitten? Perfect. And 41 gives us RT, which easily becomes rat. So our super important historical date has now become a kitten and a rat. Much more interesting, right?
So the process is actually pretty simple. Step 1, visualize the event itself. For Pearl Harbor, maybe you pictured giant pearls exploding. Step 2, you visualize your date words, so you see a fluffy little kitten and a sneaky rat. And then, here comes the fun part. Step 3 is linking them all together with a completely crazy, absurd story.
The book suggests this one. Imagine that a string of pearls exploded and one of the beads flew off and hit a kitten, which then subsequently choked on a rat it was eating. I know, it's bizarre, it's ridiculous, and that is exactly why it works. Your brain will hold on to that crazy image so much better than a string of numbers. Exploding pearls, that's Pearl Harbor. The kitten, that's 712, the 7th day of the 12th month. And the rat, that's 41 for 1941. It's incredible.
This powerful technique isn't just some fun party trick, you know? It is a real tool you can use for learning, for work, for anything. And now, it's your turn to start training your own memory. Let's just go all the way back to where we started. Having a bad memory for numbers isn't a life sentence. It is not a fixed trait. It is simply the difference between using an untrained memory and using a trained one. And today, you've learned the fundamental first step in how to do that training.
And that brings us to the end. The only question left is, what's the first number you're going to turn into a picture? Is it a phone number you can never remember? A birthday? That tricky historical fact for a class? Go on, give it a try. I think you'll be amazed at what your brain can do.